Hey guys, what's up? It's me again. Sorry I took a week off. I got a lot going on right now, and I just didn't have the time to do it last week. So I'm continuing on this week and going to keep doing my tiers because I'm not done with those yet. So we're on to the last one, and it's my running back tiers, which, blah, so hard. It is so hard to tier running backs after those top few because every team uses multiple backs, and it's so hard to decide who they're going to give the ball to every game, and it's just ridiculous. And especially with some of the places the rookies went, it just clouds the picture even more. I feel bad for James Robinson. Dude was a stud last year, and then they go and draft Travis Etienne when they could have done so much more with that pick. But whatever. Teams do team things, and I guess they didn't want to run Robinson into the ground, but I don't think they needed to draft somebody as high as Etienne to do it. So, yeah, it's kind of rough. But anyway, so we're going to jump into it. Obviously, there's a few guys that are automatically at the top, and they pretty much have been there for the past few years. All right, my number one back in my first tier is Christian McCaffrey. I put Christian McCaffrey over everybody else because the dude is just a stud. He catches the ball. He runs the ball. Generally, he stays healthy. He did get hurt last year. But, I think last year is more of the outlier than the norm. I don't think he's going to continually get hurt. I think he is fairly sturdy. And I think they won't use him on, what they used him on the year before, 95% of snaps. I don't think they're going to do that anymore. So, because they want him to last a little bit longer than a couple of years. Yeah, I definitely see them not using him as much, but I don't think that's really going to hurt his production. He's very productive with the touches that he does have anyways. They did get a new quarterback in Sam Darnold, so maybe that'll help open up some stuff too, because he hasn't exactly – Cam was there, and Cam's a decent quarterback, but, nobody's worried about Cam unleashing deep balls on him. So maybe with Darnold there, he'll have a little bit more open lanes and stuff, things that he can do to get some more running room and be more productive with the touches he's going to get. Because like I said, I definitely think that they're going to lower his touches this year just so he doesn't keep getting hurt. And then after Christian, I have Saquon. It's hard for me to put Saquon at 2. He's just that talented, but, man, he cannot stay on the field. Cannot stay on the field at all. And it's just annoying because he has all that talent if he could just stay healthy. Now they got Kenny Galladay, so maybe their passing game will step up and they won't have to run the entire offense through Saquon now that they have a true number one wide receiver. I think that it will help Daniel Jones out having Galladay there. I think that'll in turn help Saquon out, maybe open up some more room for him. Maybe he won't get hit quite as much because there won't be as many people in the box. So maybe he can stay healthy this year. Below Saquon, I have Dalvin Cook. Dalvin's getting a little older, and he really just popped off last year. Superstar popped off last year. But I definitely think that he has a chance to be just as good this year. So he's definitely up there with Christian and Saquon right now. Dude's a beast. He runs the ball good. He can hit the home run. Like, he's a good player. Pardon me. I don't know why I'm so tired. Anyway, Dalvin Cook. Good back. Definitely one of the top 3 guys. I know that there is some question about Kirk Cousins, but I think he's still going to be the quarterback this year and maybe next year. I mean, for all the talk about him being bad, he's really not that bad of a QB. And I think having him there will really help Dalvin Cook because they have that threat of somebody else, that can do something with the ball. And with Justin Jefferson coming on, teams are going to have to watch out for that. So that might open some more room for Dalvin. Oh, my goodness, excuse me. And then after Dalvin, I have Alvin Kamara. So Alvin Kamara is getting older, and he's more of that scat back. So at some point, he's not going to have the speed to do what he keeps doing. But, I mean, he still did it at the end of last year. I mean, he had that 6-touchdown game that won a lot of people their leagues. Like, he's just insane. I do worry about what will happen that Drew Brees isn't there anymore. Drew Brees really used Kamara as an outlet, and without Drew Brees there, I just don't know if anybody's going to – I don't know if anybody's going to use Kamara as much as Brees did, so we'll just have to wait and see. It's definitely interesting to see how the Saints are going to look. Without Brees there. Definitely going to be interesting to see how they look without Brees there. If they start Winston or if they start Taysom, I don't know. If it were me, I would start Winston because I just don't think Taysom Hill is going to be a good quarterback in the league. Excuse me. And then below Alvin Kamara, I have Nick Chubb. I know that Nick has Kareem Hunt there in the backfield. But, Kareem Hunt, I don't think is going to take the starting job from Nick because when Nick went out last year, Kareem didn't really do a whole bunch. You would have thought he would have been a top 5 back without Chubb there, but he wasn't. So I definitely think that Chubb has a chance to be really good again this year. And I would probably take him over the next guys. It's close. Jonathan Taylor is right there at the top of the tier 2 for me. I think I'm still taking Chubb over him right now, but middle of the season, I'm probably regretting that, and I probably should have taken Taylor over Chubb. But just with the 1 year, the end of the season numbers, I just worry that with a new quarterback and all that he might not have the numbers that he had at the end of the season last year. So we'll have to wait and see. So I think Chubb is the bottom of my tier 1. He's the guy I would feel most. Those are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that I feel most comfortable having as my QB1. I would probably feel okay with other guys as my QB1, but if I had one of these guys as my QB1, I would be like, yes, I got my running back set. So at the top of my tier 2, I said I had Jonathan Taylor. He's probably another guy that I would take, that I would be happy with as my number 1 quarterback. I probably wouldn't not like it. So, I mean, like I said, he's right there. If he does again this year what he did at the end of the season last year, then he's definitely moving up to the top with those other guys. I just want to see how it goes with him and Carson Wentz and the receivers that they have there now and just how they're going to use him. I still think Nyheim Hines is a dynamic pass-catching back. And they would be crazy not to use Hines because Hines has shown that he can be really good. So I don't know how much that takes away from Taylor. Probably not at all because Taylor's a stud. And they need to play him as a stud, but you never know. Teams nowadays are running all these 2-quarterback systems now, and it's just – I think that's just the way the league's going right now. If you don't have 2 running backs, then you're behind the curve. So, yeah. Below Jonathan Taylor, I have Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, with that going down and everything, he kind of slacked off a little bit last year. Wasn't quite as good, but still was a stud running back. I would still probably take him as my number 1 guy, although he's getting older. And just the way he runs, I don't think he'll be one of those backs that'll have a lot of longevity. So, I think he's going to slow down sooner rather than later. But right now, I would still take him over other guys. But it's getting close. So close. This close. This close. Just because of the fact that without Dak, he didn't really do a whole lot. And kind of slowed down. So kind of interested to see how this year goes, if Dak is 100% healthy, how that offense is going to work. They have so many receiving weapons now. Are they going to run the ball as much? Below Zeke, I have DeAndre Swift. I just think that he can be the guy there in Detroit, and I think that it's going to be good for him to get a lion's share of the work there. So I hope they do that. And I think with the way he was at the end of the season, that they will probably give him more run at the beginning of the season. So I think that if they give him that run at the beginning of the season and they go based off of what he did last year at the end of the season, that he will probably be the guy there and that he'll get a lot of touches. They did drop carry on, but they also added another running back, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, there's that. And then below DeAndre, I have Derrick Henry, just because the dude has not slowed down yet. I mean, he's going to. He's definitely got to. Dude is a battering ram. And at some point, that's going to take its toll on him. So, he's definitely going to slow down at some point, but right now, you still got to rank him at the top because he's still one of the top guys. We'll see how this year goes. He might take a big fall this year if he doesn't come close to what he did last year. Yeah, I still think he's good, though. I don't think he's going to slow down this year. I think he's still going to be a stud guy this year, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Below Derrick Henry, I have Najee Harris just because he went to Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh needs a running back bad. I know I'm a Pittsburgh guy, and I guess Najee was a good pick for us. I'm happy about that. I still think we should have got a quarterback. I still think Big Ben can't throw the ball. I think defenses are going to stack the box and dare Big Ben to throw the ball deep because they know he can't. So Najee might not have a lot of running room right now because he might be going against stacked boxes. And then the offensive line is in flux, so there's that, There's a lot going on right now in Pittsburgh, and Najee's good. I'm glad we got him, but I don't know that he's going to be super studly right at the beginning of his career. So he might not do what everybody is expecting him to do in Pittsburgh, and then people are going to be like, oh, well, he's a bust. I don't think he's going to be a bust. I think he's going to be a good back. I just think there's a lot of stuff going on. Had to catch myself there. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff going on in Pittsburgh this year that's going to kind of make him drop down a little bit. I don't think he's going to be as good as everybody thinks he is. Like I said, quarterback can't throw the ball. Offensive line is in for transition. We do have a lot of wide receivers in Pittsburgh, but like I said, I think teams are going to stack the box and try to guard against that short passing game that Pittsburgh tried to ride all year last year. And in the playoffs, it didn't work because teams knew what they were going to do and they stopped it. So you got to do something different this year because that's not going to work this year. Now, maybe Najee Harris and having a good running game will help that, but I don't know how good your running game is going to be with a janky offensive line and a stacked box. So we'll just have to wait and see if he does anything more. I do think he's a better runner than James Conner, but I still think it's going to be tough sledding at the beginning. It just is. I mean, Pittsburgh's in transition right now. Below Najee Harris, I have Aaron Jones. I would put Aaron Jones higher because he's really good, but Green Bay hates him, and I don't know why. They drafted his replacement and then for some reason re-signed him. Maybe they didn't think that the guy that they got to replace him was going to be that good or what, but that's a little weird that they go ahead and re-sign him when there was all this talk that he wasn't going to re-sign there because they didn't want him. So, that's interesting, and that's another reason why I have him a little lower because I don't know how that's all going to go. And then with the whole Aaron Rodgers fiasco, Aaron might not even be the quarterback there this year. And it might be Jordan Love, which may be good for Aaron Jones because they might be running a lot more with Love as quarterback. But I just don't know. I don't know what's happening. Green Bay's another one that's in transition. I do think Aaron Jones is still good. I mean, he's been good. They just haven't given him the run to be a great running back. The dude is good. Give him the ball and let him run. It's just weird, how teams do that. It's like they want to keep some players down so that they don't have to pay him as much later. Below Aaron Jones, I have J.K. Dobbins. I think he really came on at the end of the year again last year. Baltimore is a heavy running team, but most of that running is done by Lamar Jackson, so that kind of limits his upside. J.K. is good, though. I think he'll be good on that offense. They just have to wait and see what they do differently in that offense because they got to do something differently. What they've been doing hasn't worked all that great. The first year Lamar was the starter was better. The second year, I don't know if they went away from what they were doing in the first year. It seemed like he wasn't throwing as much and was just running more. Or he just wasn't as accurate with his throws or whatnot. I don't know if that early playoff stuff got to his head and he thinks he's that good that he doesn't have to work at it. But his throwing was not as accurate and not as good as it was the year before. So I think that teams are probably going to try to stop the run and make Lamar beat them in the air. But I still think J.K. Dobbins is a good enough back that he's going to be able to get his no matter what happens. I don't know if I would be I don't know if I could go into a season with him as my number one guy, but I would definitely be happy if he was my number two guy. Then I have Joe Mixon. So Mixon is interesting. He has the talent. He has the ability. The team does not use him right. Like I watched last year, what was that game? Was it against Cleveland? I think it was against Cleveland. They were losing by like 3 touchdowns, but then they started using Mixon more in the passing game. Like they mixed in the runs with the passes, and they came back to it was like a 3-point game. Like that's how you should use Mixon. Keep doing that. Only do it all season. Don't do it for the one game. Like I don't understand why they did it for that one game and then stopped doing it when they saw that it was working. That's another one where the team is just like, what are they thinking? Like, they confuse me. Because he's got the talent, just use the talent. Like, make sure that make sure you use him to his fullest ability. And then below Mixon, I have Josh Jacobs. I think he has a cap ceiling just because he's not much used in the passing game. He's just another one of those bruisers guys that needs a lot of touches to get the job done. And, I mean, he does do it. Like, he does a good job at it, but he just needs to work on the other aspects of his game. And he's not really like a breakaway guy. Like, he's not going to break off the big 80-yard run or whatever. So I think he just has a cap ceiling. Like, he's good, but his ceiling cap is lower than other guys on here. Like, I just think the other guys above him have a higher ceiling. He probably has the highest floor, maybe. No, out of the tier 2 guys, yeah, I would say out of the tier 2 guys, he probably has the highest floor. Like, you know what he is. You know what you're going to get out of him. And I would be happy with that as my number 2 quarterback. I would not want that as my number 1 quarterback. Like, definitely don't want just Josh Jacobs and then a bunch of scrubs. Like, I want a top guy and then Josh Jacobs. And then below him, I have Cam Akers. Cam really came on at the end of the year last year and in the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see how that team does now that they switch quarterbacks and all that stuff. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how Matthew Stafford, if they throw the ball more, if they're going to get Cam more involved in the passing game. Hey, Corey, what's up? It's just an interesting dynamic when a team changes up that much and goes to a different quarterback. Like going from Goff to Matthew Stafford, how is that going to affect the running game? I think they saw what Cam is capable of and that they're going to use him more this year than they did last year. Like they had a mix of like 3 guys last year, and I think that they're going to use Cam Akers more this year than they did last year. You got to see how they're going to use him, how that offense is going to change with Stafford in there, and if they're going to use Akers more in the passing game. And then below Akers, I have CEH. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Kind of a bust this year. Did not live up to the expectations that everybody thought he was going to. I think that Kansas City does need to get him more involved in the passing game. That's kind of his thing. So I don't know why you're not using him there. And I think they need to use him more. Like, they subbed him out a lot. and they didn't really give him a lot of run because they were just throwing the ball all over the place. I think if you want to actually like beat people, you're going to have to run the ball more. They kind of did that against Tampa Bay in the thing, but their offensive line was shot. So CEH couldn't get really any running room. Like he broke some, and he ran hard. But they got to fix that offensive line, and I think they did that this offseason. And then they got to just use him the right way. And it's kind of weird that Andy Reid didn't use him like he should have. And they brought in guys like Le'Veon Bell and stuff to like, why? Like use your running back that you drafted in the first round. The guy that everybody said was in the top 5 of that draft in running backs. Like there were a lot of good running backs that came out that year. And he was up there with them. I mean, a lot of them are on this list already. Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers. All rookies, and CEH was just as good as all of them, so you need to use him to that standard. Like, it made no sense to me for them to use him the way he did. But, that team's doing team stuff. I don't freaking know. Teams being teams, I guess. They just don't know what the hell they're doing. All right. That is my end of tier 2. I'm on to tier 3. These guys are definitely guys I would not start. Like, I could start the other guys in a pinch, and I'd be fine with it. I would not put these guys above my running back 2 spot. Just wouldn't do it. So tier 3 at the start, I have Miles Sanders. He's the closest guy to that top tier. He's shown flashes of being great. He just hasn't done it the whole time. Like, he has his off games. And I just need to see more for him. I need to see more from him. He's got to do it more consistently. Like, his game against Pittsburgh last year, he was playing at his top level, and he needs to do that every game, not just 1 or 2 games. So if he plays more consistently this year, like has those great games and is more consistent this year, then I'll probably bump him up to that next tier. Then below him, I have Antonio Gibson. I think that he really came on, and if he didn't have that injury that kind of derailed his season, he might have been one of the top guys last year. But with his size, you got to worry about that. Is he going to get injured a lot? Are they going to use him as an every down back? Because he's not the biggest guy. But he does have talent. He is good. And I would definitely like to see them use him more. Then below Antonio Gibson, I have Austin Eckler. I just want to see how he comes back from that injury. I know he came back at the end of the season and was pretty good, but you never know if it has any lingering effects, if he gets hurt again, or what. And he's another one of those guys that's kind of small on the small side and is a scat back. And I don't know if he can handle the full load all the time. Then after him, I have Javonte Williams, who went to Denver. And I think that just because he went to Denver and there's not really any competition there, that he's going to have a chance to really be special if he can show the things that he showed in college. I watched a little tape on him. He was really good. He had speed and all that kind of stuff. And I think that he can be good at the next level. It just, we got to wait and see if he can do all the things that he showed he could do in college. Then below him, I have Travis Etienne. The only reason I have him lower is because he went to Jacksonville and they already had a good running back, so I don't know how that split's going to go. Travis Etienne is probably one of the more talented guys that came out in the draft this year, but with that landing spot, I just don't know. I mean, they're probably going to be better than they were last year because they got Trevor Lawrence too, but they already had a good running back. So, I mean, I don't know why you would get a guy as highly valued as Travis Etienne when you could have fixed like your offensive line or something. Below Etienne, I have Kareem Hunt. Like I said, with Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt didn't really when Chubb was out last year, Hunt really didn't take over and be like that top 5 guy like everybody thought he was going to be. So, I think he's kind of relegated to a second man role, and that's where he's going to stay. So, yeah, I mean, he would be a guy I would throw in there my second running back, third running back slot, flex spot, and be happy with. It might win you a couple of weeks, but I definitely wouldn't lean on him. And then below him, I have David Montgomery in Chicago. We'll see how things go there with their new quarterback. From what I hear, they are going to go with Andy Dalton as a quarterback for the season. Like, they're sure of that. So we'll have to wait and see if Justin Fields does come in and play. But Dave Montgomery's another guy who's shown flashes, but he just can't. He can't do it consistently. So. Give me 1 second. I have to run and do something really quick. Sorry. I know I did this one other time, but I can't help it. I'm not in my own home, so have to go handle something really quick. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Like I said, I am not at my own home. I am in a hotel room, so sometimes I gotta handle some things that I wouldn't normally have to handle when I would be at home, and I could do this without any distractions. Anyway, David Montgomery. Like I said, he's another guy that hasn't done it consistently, and I would like to see him do it more consistently. If he can do it more like he did at the end of last year, then I think he'll jump up to that other tier 2. There's a lot of guys that where if they just show that consistency and do it on a consistent basis, they would be up there in those tier 2s, and you wouldn't have a problem starting them as your number 1 guy. And then below him, I have James Robinson, just because, like I said, with Etienne, we don't know what's going to happen. And I'm not sure what's going to happen with Etienne and Robinson there in Jacksonville. So that'll definitely be an interesting dynamic to see how they make that split up. Is it going to be 50-50? Is it going to be 60-40? Is it going to be 30-70? Who's going to be the lead guy? Is it going to be 70 Robinson, 30 Etienne? Is it going to be 70 Etienne, 30 Robinson? Like, there's just a lot of unknowns with that backfield right now that we just don't know about. So we got to wait and see what's going to happen. And see how they're going to split up that workload and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely going to be interesting. I definitely want to see how they're going to do it and see if Robinson decides to go somewhere else after next year to be the lead guy again somewhere. But we'll have to wait and see. Below him, I have Chris Carson. He's been a decent running back. He's had his share of injuries, and at some point he's not going to be that guy there in Seattle, but he still is right now. So he's still a guy I would pick up and grab, and you could throw in your flex spot, and he's going to win you some weeks. Like, he's still that guy that's going to get you like 12 to 15 points a week. Definitely worth picking up, definitely worth putting in your flex spot, that kind of thing. Again, he's just not a guy that I would trust to be my number one or number two guy. He's getting older. Maybe Rashad Penny finally stays healthy and we can see what he can do, because he's had games where he was the guy and he put up like 150, 200 yards. So we'll just have to wait and see. Below him, I have Michael Carter, the North Carolina guy. He went to the Jets. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to do their running back split, because they got a guy last year, LaMichael. Didn't really do much. So, Michael Carter might get the chance to be the starter. I watched some of his tape. He was really good, really explosive, really fast. I'm just interested to see how the Jets' offense is going to be now that they got rid of Darnold and they got Zach Wilson and they got another receiver. And just how exactly they're going to run their offense and what that running backfield is going to look like. Then after him, I have Trey Sermon. Went to San Francisco, but there's a lot of guys in San Francisco. I mean, they might drop some because they got Sermon now, and he was supposed to be one of the top guys last year. Like, everybody was talking last year how he could be the number one guy taken, and he fell off quite a bit because of this last season. But he's also in San Francisco, and if he's got any shred of talent, San Francisco can make him a stud. So I could definitely see him going off and being a stud in this league and being really good. You just have to kind of wait and see what's going to happen with that offense too, because they went and got a quarterback. Is Jimmy G going to be upset? Last year they had a lot of injuries. Is everybody going to stay healthy this year? That kind of thing. It's just going to be interesting to see this year with how all these backfields shake out and who's going to rise to the top. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot. There's a lot going on in a lot of different backfields, and you just kind of got to wait and see how it shakes out. But, I mean, it's almost like you just got to grab guys and hope that they're the ones that take over the starting spot. And then I have Myles Gaskin. He's at the end of this tier because he kind of went off, kind of didn't. Like, he wasn't a stud, but he kind of made a name for himself there at the end of the season. And they didn't draft another running back high, so maybe they like him a lot. So we'll just have to wait and see if they're going to use him a lot. He was one of my guys last year that I was trying to pick up at like the back end of drafts because I thought he could be sneaky good. And he definitely was. He's definitely sneaky good. And I think he could be better. I'm just waiting to see how that Dolphins offense shakes out and what happens with that. So definitely interested in all that. And can't wait to see how their offense improves, if they stick with Tua, if they're going to do anything else. And that's the end of tier 3. Below that, I have tier 4. These are more guys you could just pick up and throw in there on a random week, and they'll score you some points. Like, there's so many running backs out there that you can just pick up multiple guys and just throw them in there week to week and hope that they go off. I have Kenyon Drake, who went somewhere else. He's not in Arizona anymore. I don't know where he went. I don't remember where he went. Give me 1 second. Oh, he went to Las Vegas. So, yeah, I don't even know if I would pick him up. He's going to be behind Josh Jacobs, and they like running him into the ground. So, I mean, maybe they picked him up to spell Jacobs more because he is a dynamic running back, and his style is very different than Josh, but we'll just have to wait and see. You might pick him up, but he might just be a bench waster. I didn't realize he went to Las Vegas. I forgot. I thought he went somewhere where he was going to be more in line for a starting role as a for sure backup, but he might still be good to throw in there on your flex weeks if Jacobs out or whatever, or get him as a handcuff to Jacobs in case Jacobs does go down. Then I have Leonard Fournette. Kind of took over the top spot in Tampa Bay. Kind of didn't. Like, neither him or Rojo were very great. They both had their games where they did good, but they both had their games where they sucked. And then you still got Keyshawn Vaughn in the mix there. The rookie that they drafted fairly highly. Like, you don't know when he's going to be a guy, if he's going to take over the spot there. But if Leonard Fournette starts the season as the starter, you could probably pick him up, throw him in there. If he has a couple of good weeks, you could probably sell him for something good. Get yourself like a mid-tier wide receiver or something. Then I have Chase Edmonds. I really want to put Edmonds higher, but I can't right now because we just haven't seen him as the starter. I think he's going to be the starter there in Arizona. I mean, they do have a couple other guys. But, with the way – they went and got James Conner, but with the way Chase Edmonds was running, he's better than Conner. So I don't know why you would start Conner over Edmonds. But it's just – you just got to wait and see how these teams are going to use these running backs because there's just so many of them. And then I have Ronald Jones, who, like Leonard Fournette, maybe he starts the season as the starter there. You never know. Like, you just got to wait and see who's going to take over the top spot there. So, I'm interested to see how the Tampa Bay backfield shakes out. Who's going to be the starter? Who is Tom Brady going to want out there in the backfield with him? I think Rojo could still be good. He's kind of coming up on his time where he's not. He's kind of losing the years where he is going to be good, so he needs to get on it and do it. I also don't think that team uses him right. I would like to see him go somewhere else where a team is probably going to use him the proper way. But he's still in Tampa Bay, so we'll have to wait and see. Then below him, I have Zach Moss. He didn't really do much last year. Like, he didn't take over for Devin Singletary. I still think Devin Singletary's a good guy, a good running back. I did rank Moss higher than Singletary just because it seemed to me that Buffalo wanted Moss to be the bell cow guy, and he's going to get the touchdowns and stuff, but I don't think he's that much better than Singletary, so I'm not sure. And they added running backs to this season, so it's kind of going to be a toss-up to see who's going to be the starter there. Then I have A.J. Dillon with Aaron Jones coming back. I just don't know that there's going to be that much of a role for Dillon. Maybe he takes over that second spot over Jamal Williams. But, like, he didn't really impress me much last year, so I don't know. I think that's probably why they re-signed Aaron Jones, is because A.J. Dillon was kind of unimpressive. So he's definitely got to show more than he did last year if he wants to take over that top spot and be the guy instead of Aaron Jones. And then, like I said, Green Bay is a team in flux, so it's hard to tell what they're going to do with their running back and how they're going to use running backs next year and how that offense is going to function. And then after him, I have Devin Singletary. So, I mean, I have Zach Moss and Singletary close because they are close. They're close to the same guy. I think Devin Singletary is more dynamic than Zach Moss. I think Zach Moss is more of a goal line guy than Devin Singletary. So it's kind of like hit or miss, and you got to see which one they're going to use. And just it gives me a headache thinking about who's going to be the guy. Devin Singletary, Zach Moss. Who's going to be the guy? James Robinson, Travis Etienne. Who's going to be the guy? Is Kareem Hunt going to take carries away from Nick Chubb? Who's going to be the guy? Trey Sermon, or is it going to be what's his name? I didn't even put him on this list. I just realized that. The other San Francisco back. Can't believe I didn't even put him on the list. Mostart. Must start. Is it going to be Mostart? Is he even on San Francisco anymore? I thought I saw somewhere that he left San Francisco. Oh, yeah, he's still there. But he's almost 30, so you got to think that they're like trying to hedge their bets with Trey Sermon there. Not thinking Motstart's going to be good for another couple of years. So I would probably put Mostart here in this tier 4 too. He's a good running back, but there's a lot of questions there, and you just don't know what's going to happen. Like I said, it's giving me a headache. Excuse me. Then I have Kenneth Gainwell, who had a lot of traction coming out of college. Everybody thought he was going to be really good. He did go to Philadelphia with Miles Sanders, so I don't know that he's going to get a lot of touches, but he might be a guy you stash on like your taxi squad or something. If they do decide to get rid of Sanders, or if Kenneth Gainwell can prove he's better, he might get the starting gig. So he might be a guy you just want to take and stash. Then I have James Conner, who's still a guy who can still get you points. Like, he's had 100-yard games and touchdowns. Like, he can still do it. So he's just a guy you can throw at your bench and put in bye weeks and stuff and get some points from and do your thing. I did put Mostert on the list. I put him way down here. Then I have Mike Davis, who went to Houston? No, he went to Atlanta. Yeah, Mike Davis went to Atlanta. Dude did good relieving Christian McCaffrey last year. Got 1,000 yards. I've been a Mike Davis guy. I've traded for him in leagues when I thought he was going to be the guy, and I think he can be good. We just got to wait and see. Like, a lot of these guys, it's just you got to wait and see how they're used, see who steps up and be the guy. Like, I know I've said that multiple times this show, but it's the truth. Like with these running backs, you just don't know because there's so many of them. And all these teams have 3-4 guys that they got out there. Like, I haven't even named all the Pittsburgh guys. Like, I'm pretty sure Najee Harris is going to be the starter, but are they going to get Benny Snell some run? Are they going to get Jalen Samuels some run? Are they going to get the guy they drafted last year? Dang it, who did they draft last year? Anthony something. Anthony McFarland Jr. I knew it was Anthony something. Like, there's just so many guys on so many different teams that teams have drafted to be the guy and didn't need the guy, so they drafted another guy. And you got to see how this guy and this guy work together. Like, there's just a lot of guys. You just got to kind of see how it's going to work out. Like, it's ridiculous. There is a running back boon right now. And they're not all that great. Like, they're not all studs. Some of them are like half studs. They're like 1x4s instead of 2x4s. They're not a full stud. And we just got to see how if the team drafts somebody else the next year, because there's still going to be guys coming out of college. And there's not going to be that many guys retiring. Then after Mike Davis, I have Cuba Hubbard, who he went, I forgot where he went. He went somewhere good where he has a chance to really be something. Like, he could be a 1A to somebody or 1B to somebody. Oh, yeah, he went to the Panthers. So the Panthers might use him to, like, spell. I mean, that might be my point earlier where they're not going to use CMC quite so much, and they'll spell him with Chuba Hubbard. I would definitely pick him up as like a handcuff to CMC because he's got a lot of potential. And then you have Raheem Mostert. I got him now down here. Just a lot of going on. And then with them getting Trey Sermon, I don't know how that's going to affect anything. And then I ended my list with Damon Harris. Even though there's so many more guys, I got tired of writing guys down because there's still so many guys you could like get that might still have impact this year. Damien Harris, I don't know that he's going to take over that starting spot in New England, but just have to wait and see. New England backs are always hard to judge. James White is getting older. I doubt they're going to bring back Burkhead. They still have Sony Michel, who I didn't put on this list, but he's another guy you could grab and stash. Larry Roundtree is a guy that you could stash on like your taxi squad for the Chargers, because who knows how long Austin Eckler is going to be there, and nobody else there really. Like Justin Jackson didn't really step up when Eckler was out and claim that spot like he's the next guy. So like there's room there, and Roundtree was a guy that had a lot of potential coming out of college. There's just a lot of guys out there you can go grab. So, you know, I definitely think I'm going to wait on running backs and try to grab a bunch of the guys, a bunch of guys in later rounds, and then hope I hit on some of them because there's just so many out there, and teams are going to where they don't give a crap about the running back. They're like, yeah, we can find a good one in the bargain bin. So, and that's my list. It's a pretty long one. There's a lot of guys. Like I said, you just gotta kind of wait and see what happens this year. Like, you just gotta wait and see because we don't know how all these teams are going to use all these running backs. And you never know when somebody is going to break out and be the guy. Like, you don't think anybody saw James Robinson coming on last year. Like, nobody saw him coming on and being one of the top guys in the NFL in running. Like, I just don't think people saw that happening. So, there's going to be that guy that's going to come out of nowhere, and everybody's going to be like, well, where the hell did he come from? Like Gaskin. Everybody thought Gaskin was dead, and he came on and he started and he was good for the Dolphins. Like, there are those guys who are just going to come out of nowhere and be like, well, where the hell did this guy come from? So, yeah, you just got to kind of wait and see and be flexible and ready to pick people up or trade for people and be like, hey, I got this guy who went off this week. He's got 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. You might want him on your team and give me something good for him. So, I would try to, some of these guys that probably aren't your studs, I would probably wait for them to have a couple of big games and then try to trade them for something better. Like a young wide receiver who maybe hasn't gone off, like maybe Devonta Smith is starting out slow, or Jalen Waddle is not the starter right now, and so you might be able to get one of those guys for one of these like backs that comes out of nowhere, but might not be good again next year or the year after. So you definitely got to always be looking to trade and get rid of a guy, even though he might be doing good right now. You got to think, is he going to keep this up? And that's my show for tonight. Not quite an hour, but I think 56 minutes is a long time to listen to me babble on to myself. So I'm through my tiers. I've gotten the hang of this a little bit, so I'm probably going to start having guests. I just have to wait and see if I get anybody that wants to come on the show with me. I am a new guy. Maybe people don't want to come on my show. Hey, that's fine. I'll sit here and I'll talk to you guys all night long. I will answer your questions in chat. I will do all kinds of things. So I also have to figure out what I'm going to do for the show next week, because tiers was kind of like this will be easy to start up with, because it's just tiers. Everybody does this. It'll be easy. So I'm going to have to think about what I'm going to do for next week. And then I might get a guest to talk about it. I might do a rookie redraft next week. Like, where would you rank these guys now that they're drafted, and where would you draft them at? Sounds like a good idea. So look forward to next week. I'm probably going to try to get at least one other guest, maybe a couple, to do this draft with me. So we'll have to wait and see. And I'm going to try to guest on other shows myself. So I definitely would love to. If you have a show and you want me to be a guest on it, that would be great, because I definitely love talking about it, and I definitely want to get better at this and do it with guys who have done it for a lot longer so that I can learn. But thanks for watching. Hopefully soon my buddy will get my intro done. I'm talking to you, Jay. I know you're awesome. I know you can make me a cool intro. Really looking forward to hearing it. The stuff I've heard so far is great, so I can't wait to use it as my intro. That's my show. Peace out. Talk to you next time.